media. As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Obscurity Now, the show where we normally take a look at weird and forgotten pieces of media and decide if they should be remembered or tossed into the black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again. My name is Steve, and with me, voted most eligible bachelor of 2021, it's...
Yahel, how's it going, Steven?
Oh, it's going good, man. You know, just... recovering after all the holiday shenanigans. How's your Christmas? How's your holidays been so far? Are we allowed to say Christmas?
The war rages on against Christmas, but we'll give it a reprieve.
I'm being oppressed right now.
But no, it was pretty uneventful. Just went to my parents for lunch for a few hours. And, well, that was a bit obnoxious, but otherwise, it was fine. Pretty uneventful.
I mean, did you get anything media-related, either from or for yourself? Like, anything cool?
Not really, man. Presents-wise, pretty boring. My parents and I, we had kind of agreed not to do any presents this year.
That's the best gift you could possibly get right there.
Right.
No
Although
gifts.
Being the liars that they are, they did end up getting me like a light jacket. So
wait.
I spit on the jacket, threw it on the ground, stepped on it, put it out like if it was a cigarette, shoved my parents, and I said, "I've never felt so betrayed in my life."
Wow. Yeah, I actually betrayed the pact with a...
I'm not done, Steve. We're a Puerto Rican home, so then I broke the Christmas Ricky Martin CD. And then I left.
Wait. All this time, Ricky Martin was Puerto Rican?
He's always been Puerto Rican.
Oh, wow. I never knew that. For some reason, I thought he was from Mexico.
No, he went to like... I can't remember if he went to the same private... We went to like this big private school that had like a bunch of grades in it. And I feel like when my sister was in it, he was very briefly in it as well. So, yeah, me and Ricky R. Martin, we go way back.
Wow, that fact has made me go insane like a bullet to the brain.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's the only lyric I know from that because Conan made fun of it so bad back in the day.
Man, you're just living La Vida Loca over there, Steve.
No, there it is. Well, if you for some more obscure facts about celebrities that family members might have been involved with in some way. My sister was on the same soccer team as the British Bulldog's son, Davey Boy Smith Jr.
Oh, interesting. He just got released from WWE after being hired back. They hired him for about 8 months. You want to know how many matches he wrestled, Steve?
How many?
One dark match.
Oh, poor guy.
Why even bring him? Why even bring him in?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways.
They just wanted to, jerk a bunch of wrestlers around or something. It's like, hey, here's a little bit of hope, and oh, no, I don't think so. Back to the indies with you, or to get scooped up by AEW.
You got paid for 8 months to do nothing, so.
Sure. I mean, we could only be so lucky. I did, my wife and I mean, we had no pact of not buying gifts, especially this year. And from her, I received an Oculus Quest 2.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I've already tried it out. I mean, I know you're supposed to hate Facebook or Meta or whatever they call themselves, but goddamn, that thing is so fun. Oh my! Have you ever tried one?
I mean, I have a PSVR. It's pretty damn good.
Right.
But I've never tried any of the Oculus headsets.
Well, I always wanted to go that way, but the PlayStation VR way, but apparently they haven't updated it in a while, and at this point, the Oculus has kind of surpassed it. At least that's what the YouTube videos have said.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because I mean, the PSVR it's been out for a long time now, and they haven't made any changes to it. So
right, yeah.
as far as I know. So yeah, makes sense that it's been surpassed, and I'm sure Oculus 2 is probably cheaper than the PSVR at this point.
That is another reason. I mean, a PlayStation 4 still runs you quite a bit. But yeah, I don't know if there's like cross-platform between Oculus and PlayStation, but I was gonna ask if we should try to do like one of those VR podcasts where we're just hanging out with our avatars and streaming to OBS or something. But we could talk about that off the air.
Sure. This is getting real weird. But sure, we can.
I think if we're in VR enough, one of us has the possibility of becoming the lawnmower man.
Finally.
All right. Well, anyway, on with the episode. For some reason, if this is your first episode, we're doing things a little bit different today. Basically, we're just going to be talking about 2021, the highs and the lows of media. We just have a list of basically like our favorite movies, video games, and comics, or whatever. And it's just going to be a real laid-back chat. That I hope
we're basically just going to be bullshitting with each other, and people can listen.
Well, I mean,
if they're lonely.
It's really not that much different from a normal episode. It's just there's really nothing to throw into the black hole of obscurity, unless we want to throw 2021 completely into the black hole of obscurity.
Maybe we'll throw the conversation into the black hole of obscurity and delete the episode afterwards.
Whoa, that would be mind-blowing. Like a bullet to the brain. That'd just be insane. There it is again. All right, so where are we here? Okay, we already talked about some gifts. Yahel got a light jacket, and I got an Oculus Quest. So, all right, let's start out here. Are you one of those guys, or people, shall I say, who gets excited for New Year's?
Not really. I don't really like to go to an event on New Year's just because there's a lot of drunks out and stuff. Then this year with Omicron and stuff like that, I don't think I'd even go to a party.
Right.
I mean, well, maybe. I guess it depends on who would be there, but
Ricky Martin.
But yeah,
if he was there, would you show up?
If Ricky's there, well, you got to show up. I mean, that guy made the best World Cup soccer theme. I don't know if you remember that one, but it was a great performance at the Grammys. Come on, Steve.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would love it if we both showed up to a party and Ricky and Davey Boy Smith were there. And then we could have just a weird, awkward hangout session. It would be awesome. But no, I'm with you. I don't know. When I was younger, I really used to think that New Year's was lame. Like it was just, this sort of imaginary made-up holiday. It's not even like...
I hate to tell you, Steve, they're all imaginary.
It's true.
All made
well,
up.
I mean, time is made up by man anyway, man. It's a false construct, man. But I was just like... And then people use it as an excuse, and then for your resolutions and whatnot, where, I mean, I guess that's good, but you should be able to make a change at any point whenever you want to. Yahel, that's my uplifting message to you.
Okay, I don't know if that's uplifting as much as maybe talking down to people who make New Year's resolutions, but
that's just how I feel.
And you can feel like that any time of the year, Steve. You don't have to wait till New Year's to get mad at people for making New Year's resolutions.
Well, how do you feel about New Year's resolutions?
My only problem with New Year's resolutions is the one when people decide to join the gym, because that directly impacts me and my gym going experience.
Now who's talking down to people?
Well, I mean, let's face it. Most of them aren't going to stick to it now, are they? They just don't have what it takes, right? And
take that, humanity.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I hate working out too. I do it, but I hate it.
Sure.
So I don't blame anyone for stopping. In fact, I'm jealous of them for stopping. But I mean, I think they're okay. I do have one standing New Year's resolution for the past few years. I have failed at it every year, but I'm going to try again this year. Different approach. But basically, I try to go vegetarian every year.
Oh, wow.
And
this is the first I've ever heard of this.
Well, it usually doesn't last very long. It'll last 10, 14. I think the longest I've gone is 2 weeks. God, what's my mouth? Meat, animal meat. That's what's in my mouth.
Is that a little bit of Starbucks in there?
Yeah, maybe. Anyways, so yeah, I just feel bad about eating animals. And I eat like a lot of red meat, and I am, in my 40s now, so I probably should cut that out anyway. But so this year I'm going to. I don't normally eat seafood, but the last couple of weeks I've eaten like a couple like little seafood things here. And what I'm going to try to do is, rather than go cold turkey with my vegetarianism,
Learn how to say it
rather than going
first.
cold turkey, removing meat from my diet, I'm gonna do like every like couple days not eat meat, and then every other day just kind of like wind myself down. But I guess I'm gonna be more of a pescatarian, hopefully, and just incorporate fish into my diet. So
I used to be an Episcopalian also. That was my parents' sect of Christianity. But no, man. Well, good luck to you with that.
yeah, it probably won't work out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna save the resolution section to later, but yeah, I have a few. Actually, this show for last year was basically a New Year's resolution for me to get something else going after Ray Can't Sleep ended. But because of my wife's schedule, we didn't get it started till I think March or February.
Yeah. Okay. Good thing you left her in February or March. And you were finally able to.
Yeah. I was like, I'm sick of you standing in the way of my podcast dreams. I'm out of here. And then now look at us. Oh man, we're like bigger than Joe Rogan Jr.
Yeah.
Joe Roganowski. I mean, he podcasts out of Wisconsin. It's a cheese podcast, but we're bigger than him.
That's right.
So,
He's the Joe Rogan that doesn't take ivermectin.
right. So yeah, of course, like I would like this podcast to get even bigger than it is. I guess I would like to have enough subscribers on YouTube so I can use the little community posts. I think that would help a lot. But it's like whatever, man. I know like people. It seems like certain media attracts them to this show. For some reason, people love when we talk about Hulk Hogan. And then the comic books, not too much. But hey.
And then Care Bears, you were saying, is one of our most...
Care Bears is our number one, at least on YouTube. I didn't look at the podcast numbers, but yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't know. Maybe they just want to hear what, a couple of dudes in their late 30s, early 40s think about the Care Bears. That's important stuff.
I guess so.
So yeah, there's that, and I really need to, and I know this is the typical old guy resolution, but I kind of need to get my weight under control. Hopefully the Oculus Quest will help out with that. So
how would the Oculus help out with that?
There's a lot of fitness games. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's an awesome boxing one. That was the first one I downloaded, and it's so weird. It's like the guy's like standing right in front of you. Like it's awesome though.
Yeah, the few PSVR games that I've played, with people in them, it's so weird how realistic it can be. Like this might come as a surprise to you, Steve, but I have a Star Trek VR game.
You?
Yeah, Bridge Commander. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, it's crazy. Like when you're sitting on the bridge and you look to the left at the people next to you, and yeah, it's very trippy because it's almost like it's so real. It's like beyond reality or something.
Wow, I know
it's hard to explain.
It's awesome. Yes, it's just one step closer to the Lawnmower Man, baby. Or VR5, which is a show we're going to cover at some point next year. But we'll talk about the predictions once we get more towards the end of the episode. So we've talked about what we want to do. Like, is there anything that you accomplished or like any bright spots for you over for the past year in 2021?
I mean, I got out a few videos that I was really proud of, and on my gaming channel, and I'm really happy with how my 3D CG skills have improved.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
When I first started, thank you, man. So I'm proud of that. It's been a hectic year for me, but it's been looking up the last couple of weeks. I got some nice, cool, fun stuff happening in my personal life, and That was a really weird way to describe what's happening. But yeah.
He's finally transitioning, everybody.
Everybody, I am finally on drugs. I have finally taken up cocaine. But yeah, what about you, man?
Of course, aside from this podcast, which I already talked about, I finally started taking steps to getting my comic book out into the world.
I thought you were going to say you finally started taking steroids.
I mean, that's a weird combination. I need to lose weight, but I started taking steroids. I mean, roid gut, it is a thing. It's a thing. But yeah, like a while back, found the artist, found the colorist, and now it exists in the real world as a mini comic, and hopefully, at least by my birthday, February 17th, the crowdfunder will be up and running for everyone to throw all their money, to write as many zeros on that check as they possibly can. Aside from that, I ended up acting in 2 different short films, which, I mean, after my son was born, I kind of thought my acting career, and I use the term loosely, was over, just because, it's my job to pretty much take care of him. But, I mean, luckily, my friends, they adjusted some things for me, and I was able to act, and also I scored one of the movies as well. So
nice.
Yeah, those were some nice surprises, and if one of my other friends manages to pull it off, I'll be acting in yet another one coming up soon. Let's see, what are some other, and of course, like, when we had our anniversary this year, we rode in a hot air balloon. That was kind of fun. So I don't know if that was...
How was that? Did you... So is that something you guys had wanted to do for a while, or did an old rich couple put you up to delivering dolls around the world in exchange for diamonds? And
oh man, I wish. No, I don't know. I mean,
are you a chipmunk on an adventure?
Oh, I mean, aren't we all, baby? Isn't that just hanging on to the balloon that's floating through life? No,
Deep.
I don't know. When my wife and I first met, we traveled all over Southeast Asia and just got into whatever stuff we could get into. But hot air ballooning just wasn't in the cards at that point. So when we came back to the U.S., a lot of that adventuring kind of died down, especially when our son was born. And but luckily, her aunts, one of them was oh, we'll watch them, and the other one was having a birthday, and there's oh, there's ballooning right over there. So we just signed up and we went, and it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it at least once.
So I don't know if I'd say it's an irrational fear, but I do not want to get in a hot air balloon. It just seems like a real unsafe way to travel, very precarious. I don't know. I don't know.
So
blowing hot air into a giant tarp, very thin, just doesn't seem... Well, I'm in a bread basket? I don't know.
So if I came...
Doesn't sound good.
If I visited Florida and we had the opportunity to reenact some scenes from a chipmunk adventure, you wouldn't be down.
I have a green screen that we can use, Steve. We can control the elements better. We can control the lighting, get better sound.
All right.
Come on, Steve. Do you want to make something good or just make something?
All right, fair enough. That's another thing that I'm proud of is when we got to record in real life at your place. And
that was fun.
And that's actually sort of a reoccurring, goal or resolution, and that is to, eventually move out of this apartment and out of Hollywood altogether.
And into my place.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, I could come over and do the show until we're 60 and bald and gray or whatever. I think I could be satisfied with that. But yeah, I think that's. Oh, and also, I finally got another job, even though it's not a fancy job or anything like that. But I've been unemployed for 2 years, again, because I was taking care of my son. And so when this overnight gig came my way, courtesy of a friend, I took it. So I guess sort of a goal was met. I wanted to get, paid creative work when I went back to work, but
right.
we'll save it for next year. All right. Any other goals worth speaking of before we move on?
No, just to hopefully get more videos out next year than I did this last year.
Right. I mean, you've already sort of taken the steps this year to do, YouTube full time. I mean, is that, I assume you're just going to keep pursuing that next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, like middle of next year, I'll kind of, if things work out, that would be when it would happen, sometime between April and June. If like everything works out, really well. But I mean, if the numbers between sponsorships and the ad revenue that's coming in like just don't make sense, I'm not gonna jump into it.
Right.
But hopefully within the next year it'll happen.
Yeah. Hey, well, we're all rooting for you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right. So next, we're just going to talk about some random pieces of media. Like, I guess, what do we have up here first? Movies. So, any movies stick out to you, good or bad, from 2021?
Like if we're talking about movies released in 2021, I was thinking back about this, and I think the only movie I watched that released in 2021 was the freaking Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh man, that's awful. Are you telling me you didn't watch Dune?
No, I still haven't seen Dune.
Oh, it's so good.
And I had like my HBO Max subscription while it was out too, so I should have watched it, but I just kind of kept putting it off, and my subscription has elapsed, and I don't care to renew it.
No.
But yeah, I just like I was rewatching a lot of old stuff, a lot of old sci-fi stuff last year, like Babylon 5.
Right.
Well, I know we're gonna talk about TV shows separately, so I'll leave it for that. But yeah, sadly, I think Mortal Kombat was the only 2021 released movie I watched this year.
And that movie
is kind of weird.
Sucked.
Yeah, it was not that great.
See to what is it, episode 2 or 3, where we talked about it and the original Mortal Kombat, which is a much more fun watch.
Yeah, much more fun.
Well, I've got here, I already mentioned Dune, which was amazing. Another really good indie film is called The Beta Test. It's basically about this... he's like a Hollywood agent, and he gets this weird... he's about to get married, and he gets an envelope in the mail that says, like, you're invited to one no strings attached, like, erotic encounter. And you can, like, mark off on the envelope, like, what you want to, like, do and not do. So he spends, like, I don't know, a couple days, like, mulling it over, and then he, like, mails it in, and then it just gets really crazy from there. So, like, if you're looking for something that's, obviously for adults and different than, your typical Mortal Kombat and Marvel movies, I would highly recommend The Beta Test. And speaking of Marvel movies, I forced myself, I don't know why, maybe it was for some other podcast that I did, I can't remember, but I watched Black Widow, and it was awful. Maybe I watched it on a plane.
It was not good.
It was just so bad. Like, just don't even waste your time. All right, moving on to TV. Anything from 2021 that stands out as a good show that you would recommend or to keep away from?
I mean, the only show I would recommend, because I was mostly rewatching old shit this year. But the Lower Decks, the Star Trek animated show, it's made by one of the or the showrunner is one of the and creative mind behind it's one of the I think he's one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty, or maybe like just the old showrunner from Rick and Morty.
Right.
But it's not like a Rick and Morty Star Trek. It's definitely its own thing. It makes a lot of fun references to old Star Trek shows while still like doing like your classic Star Trek morality plays of the week, but it really like pokes a lot of fun at itself and Star Trek tropes, and it's really funny, and the animation is really, really well done. So on my not recommend list is Star Trek Discovery. Fucking Christ, it is awful. Spoiler alert, their ship is now sentient and has feelings and is sad. The ship is sad.
That's awful.
So and I haven't, and honestly, this season I only watched like the first 2 episodes, and it was so bad I was like, I can't deal with this. But I've been reading like recaps of the other ones to see if it improves, and that the latest is that the ship is sentient and sad now.
It's so awful. Who comes up with these awful ideas?
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, one show that not a lot of people are talking about that I watched on Netflix that is actually based off a series of comics or graphic novels, if you will, is Sweet Tooth. You ever hear of Sweet Tooth?
Nope, can't say that I have.
It takes place, and it's funny because this comic came out in like the early, I don't know, 2010s or something. It takes place in a post-pandemic, like America, and it's about a kid. He's got antlers. He's basically like a mutant, kind of. And it basically starts with him and his dad, like in the woods, hiding out from because there are, these swarms of guys that are hunting these like half animal kids, and so they have to live in the woods. And it's really good. It's just the effects are amazing, like for a Netflix show. Because sometimes I feel like they really skimp out on
real hit or miss.
Yeah, and they really make you care about the characters. Like the kid is good. He, sometimes, as we've seen from Santa with Muscles, like child actors, they're a little too cute or not very good at all. Like everyone's good. He's good. And there's just a lot of like good, well executed ideas. And I don't know, that show just sort of came around like right at the right time because here we are, and it's about to be 2022, and we're still living in a post-apocalyptic nightmare. But anyway,
yes. Our dystopian nightmare soup, Steve, is just getting warmed up.
Oh boy, I feel like this is about to turn into a conspiracy theory podcast. We'll save it.
No, I mean, there's no conspiracy. I mean, come on, we are a hair away from a dystopia.
All right. There's also
I have more things to say about the government.
No, I mean, I agree with you, man. But we'll try to keep it light here.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
No, you're not.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, hey, 2021. I don't know. I'm sure you've seen that meme going around where it's like a picture of 2020 and a picture of 2021, and then that I forgot her name, but the lady from The Office, Pam from The Office, is like, oh, they're the same picture,
right?
Because the end of 2021 is starting to feel a lot like the beginning of 2020.
Right.
But,
well, even on the thumbnail for this very episode is the Joker from the Joker movie showing Pennywise around, I think. So it's the same sort of similar meme. Another.
That's all right, Steve. That means we get another Mortal Kombat.
Oh, God. I was so disappointed. And the fact that it did so well, I was so disappointed. Another really good show. Like one of the things that I don't know, I sort of complain or rant about is that in early, I guess like 2010, like TV was really good. I feel like with your Sons of Anarchies and your Dexters and your Breaking Bads and whatnot, and now it's kind of lost its edge. Well, this show, Mayor of Kingstown, oh man, it's so gritty and dark. Like it's almost too dark for me. It is about. It's got Jeremy Renner in it, and it's funny. He's acting more like Hawkeye from the comics than he's ever acted like Hawkeye in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Interesting.
And it takes place in this small town that has like 6 prisons that are all within like, I don't know, 40, like 100 feet of each other. And so basically, he's the guy who's like kind of in charge of keeping the peace between like everyone, like the gangs, the guards, the wardens, like everything. If anyone has a problem, like they come to him. And it's just I don't know if it's the right show if you're looking to feel good about life, but if you want to see a good show, like I would recommend with good writing, like I would definitely recommend that. And my last recommendation, again, no one ever talks about it, is Lost in Space, the Netflix remake. Oh, so good.
Okay, so I started watching that when season 1 came out, and I thought it was okay. I watched like the first couple episodes, but I was like, it was okay, but it felt a little generic to me. So I was like, well, let me hold off because sometimes these Netflix shows like they last like a season, they don't even finish, so I don't want to get invested. But it does. I've read too that the new season is really good. So
yeah, this is the.
I didn't even know you were watching it.
Oh, I've been watching it since episode 1. Like I've always kind of enjoyed Lost in Space. I mean, I never saw the '90s movie because I think I heard that it wasn't very good. But I mean, when I was a little kid and it was on reruns on TV, I used to watch it.
Oh yeah, the old black and white.
Yeah. But no, it's fantastic. And again, like, not that I'm one who only cares about special effects, but they really put some money into the ones here.
I do remember, the special effects. Even in season 1, they were really well done.
Mm-hmm. The robot's awesome too.
A show I'm planning on getting into. They're having what I believe is their final season right now, so I'm just kind of waiting for it to finish up. Is The Expanse?
Oh, I know.
That's another show that
I started watching it, and for some reason, I guess like lost track. But all I've heard, I remember it being great, and all I've heard is good things about it.
So kind of same here. I watched like most of the first season. And then I heard it was going to get canceled, and then Amazon ended up picking it up, and I was just like, well, I'm going to wait to see if like they're actually going to finish out the series before I get invested into it. But that's another show talking about dark and gritty shows.
Absolutely.
That one's dark, gritty, great characters. I don't remember a single fucking thing that was going on in it because I watched, again, only like maybe 2/3 of the first season at most, and it was so long ago. But I remember it being really, really good, great production values, great acting, really well written, and special effects, and that looked really good.
Yes, it reminded me of the old days of Battlestar Galactica. And
a little bit.
I mean, it's its own show, but I mean, just the fact that it's gritty adult sci-fi that treats you like an adult.
Right, with a lot of complicated gray characters.
Exactly.
And,
that's all we're asking for.
Yeah,
just good writing and gray characters. All right. Anything else you'd like to add for TV before we move on?
Nah, the only other thing I really watched this year on TV that like I watch a lot of YouTube. I mean that's mostly what I watch. But I did the reason why I had my HBO Max subscription was just to rewatch Babylon 5 because they have like a beautifully HD remastered version of it. It's freaking gorgeous. And that show, I mean, the first season feels a bit rocky till you realize they're setting up the other 3 seasons or the other 4 seasons. And man, it's really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, I would just, I don't know, end up landing on an episode and have no idea what's going on. But, but never disliked it. I was just like, oh, this looks cool. And then I wouldn't be able to go back for the next episode. But yeah, like, you're not the only one that tells me I need to go and watch Babylon 5. I definitely...
Yeah, it's one of those shows where, like, a character will say a line, like in, season 1, episode 3, like a random throwaway line. And then in season 3, they go back to it and you realize it was actually a huge revelation and huge foreshadowing thing that had planned out all along. So it's one of those shows where the creator wrote it backwards. And it's a J. Michael Straczynski. He wrote almost every episode, except for like 2, I think. And it really shows that it was like well thought out and planned out ahead of time.
I can just see it right now. It's like, you should get a hot dog. And the guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then in episode 3, he's like, oh, a delicious hot dog. And, like something like that.
a little bit more complicated.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I definitely want to check that out. Oh, I guess the last thing I definitely want to mention, in case anyone is thinking about watching it, is man, the new Dexter is so awful. It's
I heard it's not good.
It's just there's a lot of, I guess it's one of those things that's kind of been destroyed by the times or the climate, if you will, and and without mentioning that stuff, I'll say that so Dexter's son shows up. And so now we're treated to a lot of like CW style high school drama. And that's just not what I want in my Dexter show. And then there's a lot of, I guess, talk about a lot of hot button issues there. But Clancy Brown is in it and he's awesome. That's cool. He's the only like shining light in it, but I'll still continue to hate watch it though. I'll admit it. But yeah, it's definitely not the Dexter from the old days, I'll tell you that. So, moving on to, we can talk about, I think, there's a section here for YouTube later when we can talk about that. But coming up next is video games. And, I really haven't had time to play much of anything. I bought because it was on sale for Black Friday for the Switch, the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remaster, and it's still sitting in the cellophane. But I did get Cruisin' Blast, which is an amazing...
that game's fun.
And I have been playing that. I mean, I really only have time to like sit and play like something that's like arcade style, like sit down and play for like 10, 15 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But again, I'm hoping I'll be able to find time to play the Oculus Quest. We'll see. How about yourself? You been playing anything good?
I mean, most recently I've been playing Devil May Cry 3. Somebody recently got me to try it out, and they were right. It's real good, real fun, bit tough, at least for me, but it's good. I think I've got like 7 missions left to go to finish it up.
Nice.
But earlier this year, even though it wasn't like a new game, I also played Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
Oh, I love those.
Was really good.
I love those Wolfenstein remakes, or whatever you want to call them.
It's really good. It's real ridiculous.
That's what I love about it.
Real crazy. What else? Oh, and then like beginning of the year, I started Doom Eternal. I didn't finish it though.
Oh yeah,
I really should go back and finish it.
I like did maybe 15 minutes on it. I mean, it's good. Actually, what I was hoping though, because I was really on a stint of like, I guess, FPS sort of throwbacks or remakes, because they released Duke Nukem 3D on the Switch store or Nintendo store, and that was one of those games that, you know, I think I remember just playing shareware back in the day, and I always loved it. And I was like, I'm gonna go back and beat Duke Nukem 3D, and I had such a great time playing it. It was so fun, and you know, Duke is freaking hilarious. Like, I mean, that game was made for me, and then I beat it, and then I wanted to, you know, continue moving forward. So I was like, how about Doom Eternal? And I mean, it's a great game, but it's not exactly fun and irreverent in the way that Duke Nukem 3D is.
Right. Yeah. It's a more serious game for sure.
Yeah, right? Super serious. All right. Anything else for video games?
Not really. I mean, I played. I did this year. I did get earlier in the year the Neo SD Pro for my Neo Geo, which is basically like an EverDrive for the Neo Geo. And I spent like a few months just playing a ton of Neo Geo games. Obviously, there's a lot of fighting games on there, but you know, there are other like games that are on fighting, and it's just awesome. I mean, some of these games, like, you know, your Metal Slugs and stuff, I had played before via emulation or like the PlayStation releases or that kind of stuff. But I will say, like, and I'm a big proponent for emulation. In fact, usually when I'm streaming like retro games, I'll just emulate just because it's easier than hooking up my Super Nintendo and all that shit. But the games legitimately feel differently on a Neo Geo. It's the first time I've ever like been like, oh, this doesn't quite feel, emulation does feel different from it.
Right.
But the Neo Geo, man, it's just like the fucking coolest system.
It really was. Yeah, so good.
It's awesome, man. Some of the beat 'em ups on there like are just really fun and over the top.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the 8-Man game. You ever play that one? He's like a really fast running robot. I mean, he's basically, if you saw him from afar, you would think he's the Flash probably, but you just run around and beat up people. It was also an anime as well. 8-Man?
Yeah, I haven't played that.
You should check it out. It's awesome.
Maybe I don't have the ROM.
Maybe not. Got the ROM stuff.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Like a bullet to the head, Yahel. Like a bullet to the head. All right, now here's a subject we rarely, or I think would say we never speak of here on Obscurity Now, and that is music. And I'm just curious, like, is there anything released that you would mention, or just what are you even listening to in general these days?
You know, it's sad because, you know, I'm supposedly a musician, or at least at one point in time, and I barely listen to music these days.
What?
I listen mostly to podcasts.
All right, well, I can't fault you for that.
Yeah. even when I'm working out at the gym, I'm listening to podcasts. Like, I did not purchase a single album in 2021. And I think that's the first year that's ever happened, because I do remember buying some stuff in 2020, but yeah, I'm not listening to nothing except Humans talking.
Wow, but especially this podcast over and over again just to drive up the numbers.
Yeah. I mute your parts. But,
wow, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah. Well, if your ego's big enough, you can mute.
Well, I guess I'll take this time to talk about a bit of the music that I have listened to or purchased. And of course, it's all like obscure stuff. Oh, there you go, off of Bandcamp. And I discovered these guys called the Omnific, and they're from Australia. It's 2 bass players and a drum set. And then they also have they sort of weave in synth stuff. I mean, it's very, I guess you could say, hipster and proggy. Like, they don't sing, it's all instrumentals. But they released a new album called Esplanades. And of course, they're amazing bass players. They, do a lot of slapping and tapping, things that I enjoy quite a bit. So if you're someone who's really into the bass, you might want to check out the Omnific, because they're pretty awesome. And then the other album that I recently purchased, it's from a band that I used to be in from Tampa. I think you and I went and saw them once, obviously long after I'd been in them. It's a punk band called Pigpen, and their latest release is called License to Smash. And I can't even remember the last time I listened to any punk rock, but theirs was actually really good and really fun, especially if you like to laugh. And they had a lot of funny little sketches in between the songs and stuff. Yeah, so I try to mix in music with my podcast listening. Sometimes when I'm driving at night, I'm that's when I got to get that synth wave going. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
All right, moving on. But of course, you are still a big time Metallica fan, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really been listening to them either, though, because I've just been listening to podcasts.
I mean, they don't even release any new music anymore, do they?
I think they're working on a new album, actually. How dare you? It was just Metallica's 40th anniversary 2 weeks ago, you son of a bitch.
Hey, I'm giving you the opportunity to speak about them, so yeah, you go to hell.
They're still doing a lot of live shows and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, they put out, a lot of live recordings, but I believe that they're working on a new album. But
yeah, it seems to me that's the way that a lot of the sort of older acts have gone, especially since, sadly, I guess there's not a lot, especially for them, there's probably not a lot of money and or interest in new music, so they just do a bunch of live shows and rake it in that way. So in the YouTube world, are there any particular channels you would like to mention, a new world that you're currently watching?
Sure. Oh, by the way, I want to say hi to Chris Perry. He's in the chat now. As far as channels that I watched a lot this year, I watched a lot of GameSack, a lot of Stop Skeletons from Fighting. These are pretty much gaming channels. Mm-hmm. Comic Drake, that's a comic book channel that's really good, and he's a nice guy to boot. A few friends of mine have been putting out really good stuff. Historic Nerd, Genovi, Stika, they've all put out really good videos this year. But some bigger channels that even though he doesn't put out a lot of stuff, Captain Dissolution, I think you and I have talked about him before. Mm-hmm. Watched a lot of those channels this year. But I also watched a lot of Slopes Game Room and Top Hat Gaming Man and a lot of My Life in Gaming. So basically a lot of gaming channels. Internet Common Etiquette, I watch that whenever a new one drops, as they say. What about you?
One particular awesome one that I think I discovered this year. I think it actually started out as an Instagram, and then they moved it to YouTube, and now they do full-on shows. It's called Power Comics. Have you heard of this one?
Never heard of it.
I mean, basically, it's these 3 guys. I think 2 of them they're in the industry, and one of the guys actually works on Dark Side of the Ring in the crew as something. But they go to the comic book store, and they look for the most obscure, most indie, the indiest of the indie comics that they can possibly find, and then they basically discuss it. But it's weird. It's not they wouldn't just go and read something that's someone's emo diary that they illustrated. It still has to be sort of superhero. I don't know, something that looks like it was, maybe designed by like an angsty goth guy at high school. They get a lot of those. But yeah, they basically read through the comic and comment on it, and it's actually more of a celebration of that stuff. But they will point out when there are sort of discrepancies with some of the art and stuff. But yeah, it's probably the best channel that I discovered this year. It's great. And then of course I still listen to Red Letter Media or watch Red Letter Media. They were probably my inspiration for wanting to even do YouTube. And speaking of Red Letter Media, I just want everyone to know that so we released our Santa with Muscles episode last week, and then they, a couple days later, released it was a Best of the Worst, I think, is one of their shows where they look at a couple movies. And what movie happened to be in there but one Santa with Muscles? And did you happen to catch that episode of theirs by any chance?
No, I haven't watched. I'm a little Santa with Muscles out, so I put it in my watch later. but I'm gonna watch it at some point. Well,
spoiler alert: by the time they get to Santa with Muscles, Mike is so drunk that they don't even review it hardly. So I'm sure they still got 1 million more views than we did, but I'd say,
certainly.
And also they spent most of the time ragging on Hulk Hogan in his personal life. So I feel like we gave it more of a chance, at least, or more of a fair shake.
We reviewed it at a more objective fashion.
Yes, for sure. And other than that, obviously I like Game Sack as well. I still watch Metal Jesus. What else? Those are and then I watch a lot of film ones, like Film Riot, and there's this one guy, his name is Mahler. I watched his 4.5-hour Black Widow review where he just completely destroyed Black Widow. It was awesome. Anyway, I guess it's kind of like one and the same. The next section is our podcast section. So I'd like to know, what do you listen to on a regular basis podcast-wise?
This may shock you, Steve, but I listen to a Star Trek podcast called the Delta Flyers. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about it is it's hosted by the actors that played Tom Paris and Harry Kim on Star Trek Voyager.
Nice.
And basically, they're going every week. They watch and review an episode of Star Trek Voyager from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. Or they're starting at the beginning of the series. And for the most part, the guy that played Harry Kim, he watched all the episodes because he's actually like a Star Trek fan. Mm-hmm. But it's been a while since he watched it. And then the other guy, he never really watched it. So it's fun. They also will in just about every episode have a short interview with another cast member. What do you remember? Or maybe the director that was worked on, or maybe the writer on it. So you get a lot of insights too, into the episodes. I also this year listened to Zack to the Future, which is kind of the same thing. It's Mark Paul Gosselaar who played Zack in Saved by the Bell, and Dashiell Driscoll, the guy behind the Zach Morris's Trash YouTube series.
Oh, wow.
They together host this podcast where they review episodes of Saved by the Bell from the beginning of the series forward. There's only 50 episodes, and they're on a break right now, and we don't really know if they're going to come back or not. But it's a really, really, really fun podcast. Attitude Era podcast I still listen to occasionally. They're fun for their reviews of random wrestling shows and whatnot. And that's mostly what I listened to this year because I was mostly trying to catch up on the Delta Flyers and Zack to the Future.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you've got a full load there with your podcasts. Got a couple here, ones that I listen to on the reg. One is called Music and Widescreen. It is a progressive rock podcast. And not old stuff. It's from, I guess, newer, contemporary progressive rock, if you will. So if you like prog rock, I would definitely check that out. There's really nothing more to say than every week, this guy and his wife, they just listen to a bunch of prog rock and talk about it. And sometimes they have the artists on there and they interview them, and it's pretty good. Again, if you don't like prog, you'll hate it. But next is Beyond Synth, which is a synthwave podcast. The guy who hosts that, he has a new guest on every week, and they listen to the tracks of the artist and talk about it. It's a good way to listen to synthwave if you're looking for that. And of course, I still listen to What Happened When, which is the Tony Schiavone podcast, where he and Conrad nowadays all they do is sit and watch old Jim Crockett WCW or NWA, if you will. But it still makes me laugh occasionally. It's not as good as it was. And did you know that Ric Flair got a podcast again after he was let go from WWE?
Yeah. I'm not listening to it. That guy can go. He can go sit on a pine cone.
What made
that guy is?
What made you lose your faith in the Nature Boy?
I mean, it's been eroding slowly for the last 10 years. It's one of those things, like, the more you learn about some of these people, like, the less you like them, and he's just kind of become insufferable. But other than that, too, he's kind of like developed a bit of that Hogan syndrome, where the more he tells stories, the less truthful they are.
Right, I've been getting that for sure.
So I'm kind of like, what's the point of listening to this guy, like, say bullshit? It's the same reason why I stopped listening to the Bruce Pritchard podcast, Something to Wrestle With, just and Eric Bischoff's, because it's like, this is like 60% bullshit. Like, well,
sure. I do like
Chris Perry.
What's up?
Sorry to interrupt you, Steve, but Chris Perry in the chat mentioned that the Retronauts podcast, which is a great gaming podcast.
All right, and I see he's also a fan of the Jim Cornette's 2 podcasts, which if there's nothing else going on, I'll listen to Jim Cornette just because he's hilarious. But also I listen to I don't know, they're called like true horror podcasts, and they're basically like, it's usually just one guy reading these stories that he got off of Reddit. You ever hear of Let's Not Meet? You ever hear that one?
No.
And yeah, basically it's just, a lot of them are, I met this guy at a bar and he wouldn't leave me alone. So I had tried to run away, but he followed me. But then I got into an Uber, and to the guy who wouldn't leave me alone at the bar, let's not meet. But that's like the typical one. But there are some that are a lot better. And I don't know, it's kind of like unsolved mysteries for your ears, if you will. And then also there's a audio drama company called Seven Lamb, and I listen to a lot of their stuff. Tower 4 is about just this guy who he's hired to be in one of those towers in a forest where you have to like look and let people know if there's a fire that's going to start, and basically he's just slowly going insane, or maybe he's not, and you don't know. And then there's another one called Paralyzed, which is about these like weird like nightmare creatures that are following these people around, and they're just basically trying to figure out how to stop them. So yeah, I mean, I feel like there's no more obscure genre in the podcast world than audio dramas. So that's why I'm talking about it. So check them out if you like scripted podcasts. And of course, check out mine, Ray Can't Sleep, which I forgot to mention earlier, recently passed 10,000 downloads.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm pretty.
I did not know it was that big. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Steve.
Yeah, I didn't even.
It's good. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But it's just, no matter how good your podcast is, it's hard to get traction in this oversaturated market.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, especially since after I premiered the first 10 episodes, I really didn't do a lot of advertising aside from occasionally jumping in the audio drama subreddit, and if someone was like, I need a new audio drama, and I'm like, well, how about Ray Can't Sleep? And and then maybe they check it out or maybe they don't. But and then even after that 10K, which I think happened last month, I just keep forgetting to mention it, it's still been growing like really fast. And also one thing that I think is going to help a lot is I was recently interviewed. It's called the First Episode podcast, and it's basically a interview podcast for audio drama creators, and that's going to premiere December 28th. But there'll be links for that in future episodes of Obscurity Now.
So Chris Perry asked for a link to your podcast, and I did put the website raycan'tsleep.com. However, you can get it from any podcasting app.
Yep. It's really
just
Spotify is really pushing it. I don't know why the other ones aren't, but yeah, it's all over Spotify and Apple Podcasts and whatnot.
Yeah, I even found it using I have like a like just some Android third-party podcasting app I use, and I think it uses the iTunes engine, but even through there I was able to find it.
Cool, awesome. Well, I think that does it for podcasts. And now just for some fun questions about doing this show, or really it's just like one. And was there anything that we sort of went over so far doing this podcast that you ended up really liking or really hating?
There's, I remember the ones I hated a lot more clearly. I don't know about you, but I mean, there's been something like the Garfield Halloween special.
Oh, you hated it. Oh, okay.
Hated it. James Bond Jr.
Oh yeah, that sucked.
Hated it.
Yeah.
I did like Nick Fury though.
Oh,
like,
that was great.
Yeah, just so stupid.
Right.
But like in a good way. Batman the movie, that was a fun one to do.
Sure.
But I already liked Batman.
Right,
the movie.
right.
I already knew that's a fun one. Renegade was surprisingly fun.
Yeah, it was. It really was. I have just because back when you were suggesting stuff, when you suggested Smart House, like I was ready to quit podcasting right then and there. but then when I actually watched it, I was like, this is surprisingly good. And yeah, that just really kind of blew my mind. Mm-hmm.
There was one other one that no, I already talked about Chipmunk Adventure. Anyways, go ahead and you talk about it. I feel like there was another one that we watched that I absolutely despised and almost blocked your number.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what I liked or what surprised me that I ended up liking the most, aside from Smart House, is Biker Mice from Mars. Back from the episode where we compared the TMNT ripoffs, and I loved that. If I had more time to sit around watching 90s cartoons, I would definitely try to make my way through like the entire episodes. Let's see. I really wasn't a big fan of the Bret Michaels reality show, I'll tell you that. But I mean, I'm glad that we tried something different. I'll say that about it. Let's see. Anything that I absolutely despise. I mean, I was really disappointed, as we said earlier, about the new Mortal Kombat. And with everyone else who went to see it, that was, kill me already.
What about when we watched the 90s superhero team-up shows, like Wildcats and what was the other one? Ultra Force? Ultra Force I was kind of down on.
Right. Well, I mean, I remembered Wildcats a lot better than it ended up being, unfortunately.
Yeah. I will say Wildcats felt more, even though like I enjoyed it more than Ultra Force, it felt more like an X-Men ripoff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Than Ultra Force did, and funny enough, now there's going to be like I guess an X-Men cartoon revival, X-Men ¡97. So we might have to come back around and revisit it, give it the old reach around.
Oh yeah, that's what Disney's doing to the X-Men. But yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, we should do that for sure. But yeah, I think that sums up that section. So we already talked about our goals and plans and resolutions. Any predictions for 2022?
I predict nothing good.
Doomer.
Just a realist.
Hey,
I predict there's a good chance you or someone you know will be sick at some point, and
oh yeah, we didn't even mention the fact that you got freaking COVID. Like, come on, that was a high point, right?
Yeah. Now, thankfully, again, vaccinated, so it wasn't. It was quote unquote mild, but I got to tell you, man, even like the mild COVID symptoms, I don't recommend for anybody. And the weird thing about COVID, man, is like, even when it's mild, like it's hard to explain. Like people will say, "Oh, it's like a cold, it's like a flu." It's nothing like that. It's like its own fucking thing, and you can like feel how powerful it is the best way I can describe. And you just feel like, man, if this goes south at any point, like I could be done. Like, wow. It is crazy. I think I mentioned it before that when I lost my sense of taste and smell, I literally lost it like while I was eating a meal.
Oof.
Like it went that fast.
That's
like
rough.
I'm eating first taste is fine. Couple bites later, I feel like I can't taste this as much. A couple bites later, within 10 minutes, gone. Like it's crazy. It's freaking crazy. Anyway, this COVID disease, it's got a bright future ahead of it, unfortunately. That's
It's going straight to the top of destroying humanity.
Yeah, it's to the top of the food chain.
But yeah, Chris Perry, I mean, aside from the episode we already did about the X-Men ripoffs, I'm sure we'll be diving back into more animation in the future. I mean, of course, we already did. Oh, I forgot to mention how bad that G.I. Joe Extreme cartoon was. Like,
yeah, that was shit.
Oh man, that was so bad. Yeah, I'm still trying to find a way. Like, I wanted to. Oh, the one coming up, we should definitely do the cartoons based off of R-rated properties. RoboCop, Toxic Avenger, and Rambo. Yeah,
Rambo.
I was trying to get another one that started with an R, but I just couldn't find it. So whatever. Oh yeah, as far as like predictions, I mean, I'm going to just go ahead based on absolutely no evidence. I'm going to say that 2022 is going to be the year for Obscurity Now. It is going to blow the fuck up.
Oh shit! Bold prediction.
You know, you got to speak it into existence, right?
Sure, that's how things work.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I found this book. Well, actually, it's a DVD called The Secret. So I'm going to use The Secret to make this podcast go huge. Going to be bigger than Joe Rogan, bigger than this wrestling with gaming guy. Fuck that guy. But
good, I'd love to see it. This podcast is a lot less work than my YouTube channel, so that'd be great.
Hey, if you guys were a fan of the 2 episodes that Yahel and I did in real life, yeah, just like and share, tell all your friends. That way, we can get this podcast bringing in money, so I can move over there, and then we can have in real life episodes every single week. And then, you know, bring guests in, you know, after you get COVID tested like 4 times, of course. And you'll have to wear a face mask, you know, just full body suit, just to be safe. You know, we're very important people here. Yes. we can't get sick again. You can't get sick again. That would be awful.
Yeah, once was good enough.
Right. Well, on that uplifting note, and also I'm just going to go ahead and say my comic book is going to get fully funded and get a 3-picture Hollywood deal. Yeah, why not? Just based on no evidence. Any wacky predictions on your end, Yahel?
I predict that your fans of your comic book will turn on you after your 3-picture deal, calling you a sellout.
Right.
They're not going to appreciate the changes made to the from the source material.
Ricky Martin is going to play the lead. It's going to be
the lead dinosaur, actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can live with that. All right. Well, it's been, I don't know. You know, a lot of people said that 2021 is like their worst year ever. Like, I think it's been, for me personally, I think it's been okay. How about yourself? Aside from the COVID crap, of course.
I mean, it's been a weird year. But it's ending on a high note for me, and ending on an upswing. So I'll say a good year.
I mean, after all, you're getting that magic spoon money at this point.
Yeah. That's what it is. The magic
spoon money. It's just made you feel so happy and magical. One of these days,
money does solve all the
it
problems.
really does. It like that hole in your like heart just fills it up with goodness.
Yeah. The one payment that they're gonna give me for the one ad is solving all of my problems, Steve.
All right. Well, on that high sarcastic note, I think we can put a pin in 2021, and I'll say thank you all who have stuck around and listened to Obscurity Now. As I said before, please subscribe on YouTube, like and share the podcast or the videos, whichever way you prefer to consume it, with all your friends and family. Again, so I can move my family right into Yahel's house and we can podcast from there every week. And
so I would love a child in here.
I'm sure you would. Yeah.
You know how much I love children.
Dudes who live with cats, they love children. I mean, it's written in the Bible somewhere, in Leviticus. Leviticus.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week as we continue to unearth even more obscure media. Bye-bye. You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links. If that's what you're into, I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.